What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 93 of my Total Warhammer 3 Ikit Claw Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, Scalpite, the little rat that could, has continued to do work with his primarily slave army, destroying Alberic's force here outside of the statues of the gods and beginning to run it down, though only partly because I accidentally misclicked and we couldn't quite get Alberic on the same turn. Oh well. This also reminds me, Teclis is moving up to Nahuantl, which we may want to get a temporary Warlock Master out at. Let's say, he's gonna start with rank 22, eh? Let's go with you, Perceptive, Pestilich. And you're gonna cost us about 5,000 gold, but what can you do? You're also on your Doom Flayer rather than on your wheel, and we can certainly change that. And you're only gonna be here temporarily, but hopefully long enough to dish out damage. We're gonna pop Scorch because it's quite useful now that it's fairly decently debuffed. In terms of its cost to cast, let's get Weapons Engineer and Brass Orb. Just in case we're going to get sneaky, Root Marcher, Inspiring Presence, though Root Marcher probably won't be too useful for us here. We'll pop 1 point in Howling Warp Gale, Evasion. I don't actually care for either of these spells, and considering the amount of mana you have, you won't be using either one. I'm just going to be spamming Scorch, Warp Lightning, and the other stuff, which leaves us a few more points of room. Let's get Earthing so that you don't miscast. We could actually go all the way to Arcane Conduit, since we can't make use of any of these. Yeah, maybe we'll do that. Or we could make you more powerful. No, you know what? Maybe for you, we're gonna go for the Augmented Weapon and all the other stuff. The Leadership is probably... well, it is actually Leadership Aura. But you're probably gonna be acting alone as well, and I do want the Missile Resistance. You know what, let's get Warp-Forged Armor, and an extra little bit of Missile Resistance, and I think the rest is good. You get a little bit more HP, but I think you're fine. You know what, let's get Spell Resistance as well, considering that Teclis might attack you. I'm not going to bother giving him any items, mostly because I'm too lazy to do so, and we'll just see if he manages to survive this. Alright, you go, Pestilich. Pestilich, damn it. Close enough. Alrighty, now in terms of what we got left, we spent most of our money last episode, but we still have moves to make, so let's make them. Let's see what we've got going on here. Skryre, who are you, and why do you exist? Oh, right, you. You're toting around the remnants of the forces that were created for Bok but are no longer required. Alright, here's what we'll do. We'll send you to Saber Mountain, like so. Or we'll send Bok rather to Saber Mountain to take it, whereas you, Skryre, can stay at the Great Skull Lakes, I think. I do have to wonder where this guy's gonna go, but I doubt that they can take Great Skull Lakes with you defending it, even if you're relatively weak. You could actually help Bok take Saber Mountain, because it will be a tier 5, but it does depend on if there's a full stack there, or not, to defend it. I'm still reasonably confident we can take it without too much trouble, so yeah, alright, that's good. Let's keep going. Cypress, Scorpable, Metable, the Mutant, Throughout the Unclean. We just moved Skryre. Garth is still recruiting. Quick Head Taker, yes. You are going to jump out to the Darkhold, and we'll be taking it and destroying Imric's faction for good next turn, and then recruiting you a few new things that you've been waiting on. Lovely. Next up, what do we have here? Okay, that was Ikit, if I can... no, that was Queek, rather. After you, who do we have here? Plague Rolk. Plague Rolk and Trudge actually are going to sit here and wait, just because we might get another interception going, which does benefit us quite a bit. In fact, we can move them forward even more so, closer to Gundad, and we'll see if they try to jump over us, in which case we'll go after them. Alright, so that's Plague Rolk. Scalpite is good. Skrulk is recruiting for one more turn, but is nearly ready to go. Clutch the Insane. Blight. Who is Blight? Why is Blight? You're a Warlock Engineer with Sharp Claws, Elf-Thing Slave and Man-Thing Slave. Oh, you're just here to boost, aren't you? Because Marienburg makes us the most money? Yeah, alright, we're gonna rename you Booster, although I might delete you later, I'll think about it. You are boosting on the one hand, but on the other hand, you're probably only just paying for yourself, which means we could probably just replace you with another Tech Thief. Could also be quite advantageous. Alrighty, and were you the last one? No, there's still an assassin here, a level 17 assassin named Assassin. You like to assassinate, don't you, Assassin? Go and assault some units, though. Don't die. Failure, but not a death, and ooh, you did move close enough to keep an eye on the other enemies here, which is great for us. Alrighty, and that, I believe, was... Oh, actually, it's not it. We still have lab rats to move. Who's Compule? Oh, this guy, yeah, that's fine. Lab rats. You need to steal tech. Let's head you out to Saber Mountain, I think. Man, you're running out of enemies to steal tech from out here. Yeah, we gotta send more rats to Ulthuan. Annoy Ulthuan more. Probably the only real way to do it. You actually haven't stolen tech in a while, so yeah. Next lab rat, you should be in range. No, you should not be in range. But you have 8 more turns of tech stolen, so you can certainly make it there. Alright, next lab rat. You are gonna head out towards Directless Spire because this is 64 and then this is... Oh, they're both 64. Alrighty, well then try this again. Oh no! Well, that's really disappointing. That is really disappointing. There were several uses for this. One, it was making these guys all happier with us because they all hate the Ancestral Throng. Damn it. Okay, we're gonna need to rebuild another lab rat and send them out there once we get a little bit more in the way of capacity for them because we're currently out. We're also gonna name you Rat Mech to Lab Rat because you're also gonna steal tech. Yeah, it's not just the tech stealies that is useful, of course, it's the reputation that was coming in. Man, I can't believe he died. Well, or got wounded, but he might as well have died, it doesn't really matter. Alrighty, and that's about it for the moves. We got 2 more things to do this turn before we end it. Shife, you have yourself a battle, so let's apply a few points here and there, and then we'll strike. You have 1 point, so... I mean, I guess we could get Wither on you, but honestly, considering the other one has Wither and we're probably not going to be using it twice, it probably doesn't matter that much either. I'll just get you Wild-Eyed. And then you, Plague Priest, are going to get Wild-Eyed as well. You have Wither rather than Blessed with Filth. Yes. And then we will get the Packmaster, who is got most of the good stuff. Well, isn't that lovely? I guess we could get you Woundmaker, although you're probably too fragile to be fighting directly in combat most of the time, but why not? Alrighty, and that's about it. Shife, you're ready to go once again. Let's hit Fortress of Dawn and get that nice 35k for sacking it, then we'll occupy to tier 1, and then we'll trade it to Kairos. Why spend food when we can just give it a tier 1? And here we go. Alrighty, here we go. It feels like it's been something of a while since Shife has made his way to a battle that might actually challenge him. He has been just breaking through the piles of enemies for quite a while that have stood before him and has moved all the way essentially to the southern edge of the map. And considering he started all the way around Skaven Blight, it's pretty darn good. He's destroyed the lizards, he's destroyed a lot of high elves, and it looks like this will probably be the last of the high elven settlements that he has to deal with at the current time, unless eventually we send him to Ulthuan, though I'm not really sure whether there's any need to even bother with Ulthuan. It is actually surprising that Ulthuan hasn't declared war on us at this point, but I feel like we have so much power going for us in defensive alliances that it's just not really a good idea for them to do so, especially while they're fighting the Dark Elves and whatnot. Anyway, our artillery are going to start the battle out by knocking out the enemy towers, and I kind of just really like this view, which is not something we see too often, mostly because the camera normally can't climb that high. I do like seeing the city from overhead, and there's some statues up here as well. Probably can't go that high up there, yeah. A shame. In some maps you can go up on really high structures and watch all that, but oh well. I like seeing this whole thing. Anyway, the walls look like they're breaking, but this is in fact a lie. There's some kind of graphical bug that is actually not the case. As you can see, there are still units up here, and even though the wall says 0, Oh, this is the fort tower that's... Oh, I see. So, basically, the fort tower is here, right in front of it, but when the fort towers got destroyed, it looks like they ripped a hole open in the wall or breached the wall, but it isn't actually the case. You can't go through these, and the units are clearly up there. Kind of interesting. I have a lot of hours in this game, and all the games that preceded it, and I've never seen this happen before. Kind of fun to encounter a new bug. Anyway, we're going to proceed with the bombardment for quite a while, so I'm just going to keep it at max speed while we do. Anybody on top of the walls isn't safe. And oh yeah, there's some Source Warriors in here as well, so the enemy does have those helping out. Looks like they sent some Lothern Seaguard up on top of the walls as well, but the Jezzails and the catapults can target them as well. Probably should take the Swordsmasters of Hoeth down from there and use them to guard the gate as we move in. There we go, nice shot from the Jezzails. Looks like the Merlins are being cleared as well. So the enemy will have not a lot of things to hide behind from the Jezzails in particular, which is great. I think I just saw the gatehouse get knocked down as well. We still have to break through the actual gate, but that's fine. Looks like a decent amount of enemies are trying to back off here. Actually a little bit weird how many melee units they put on the walls as opposed to range units who could in theory actually threaten us once we approach the city, or begin approaching the city like we're doing right now. We obviously also have our death globes, or our poison wind globadiers rather, which can fire on top of the walls. Maybe the Jezzails can knock down that Phoenix that's flying around as well, because there's probably not going to be a lot for them to do in a few seconds. Especially as these guys get off the walls. How's that gate looking? 461 HP, as long as it doesn't get bugged somehow like the towers do, and it doesn't look like it is, we are going to be able to make it through. Alrighty, more swords get them knocked down, and I think the rest of our units are going to approach. Now this looks so bizarre with them floating on the destroyed wall. Yeah, definitely never seen that before, and in some places I can't tell. Like, this I think is an actual breach. Yeah, this is an actual breach in a wall because you can see the destroyed portions, whereas this is just too, it's too even, it's suspiciously even, and this is not an actual breach. So yeah, similarly here, not a breach as compared to breach. Alright, well, we're gonna move through the ones that are real breaches, and we're going to start annoying the enemy on the inside of the settlement. Still have continued support from our Jezzails, who are trying to fire at the enemy Phoenix, though they're generally fairly poor shots in the way of leading targets. They're good at stationary targets and targets that are moving directly forward, but any targets that are even slightly doing the dance, or even somewhat slightly moving in a straight line, they're generally pretty poor at attacking. Anyway, we've got some Vermintide on the way, summoned 3 uses, or used 3 uses of it with all of our units, and we're going to send them on into the city to distract the enemy. There is a unit of Phoenix Guard here, as well as a unit of the Swordsmasters, so they're obviously quite scary, and we don't want to put them in a direct contest with our Plague Monks, though I suppose that's somewhat a lie, at least the non-summoned Plague Monks, because we can use the Pestilent Birth to summon Plague Monks and attack him here. And there we go, we've got our Plague Furnaces and our Screaming Bells moving in as well. A few casts going to follow suit, and here comes the dreaded 13th, i.e. we're going to summon some Halberds to deal with the enemy Halberds, and a Pestilent Birth as well. So suddenly a unit of Storm Vermin with Halberds and a unit of Plague Monks directly behind those poor Phoenix Guard, and we can't even see the Phoenix Guard anymore because they're just getting mobbed. We also have moved our unit, our Packmaster in, who has summoned a bunch of Wolf Rats who are just annoying any enemy range units that they can reach, and once again applying more units into the purpose of blocking the enemy. Packmaster's still fighting out here as well, and is surrounded by Source Warriors and the enemy piles of Swordsmasters. Here, going to pop the Plague just to allow him to escape, as the Packmaster is quite vulnerable to attacks. Was trying to get it to actually kill the Phoenix, so these guys kind of annoyingly surrounded us. Alright. And it looks like the plague did a little bit of damage, nothing crazy. I don't see a lot of bodies, but that's okay. Oh, we got bodies to spare. Here come all the rest of those summoned units, and we got plenty more Vermintides and Pestilent Births as well. These are actual non-summoned units of Plague Monks here, who are actually going to get a nice little fight for them, though I do imagine that they can handle a unit of Spearmen without too much trouble. We've seen Plague Monks do great things throughout this campaign. I'm reasonably confident in their effectiveness. Alrighty, and it looks like most of the enemy units over on this side of the battlefield are out. The Phoenix moves in and is brought back to try to attack the Packmaster once again. It looks like it's going to have that fiery rebirth, but hopefully we can surround and kill it. Although the Packmaster is once again being annoyed by enemy range fire. I really like going through the pack for the Packmaster, which I guess makes sense once again because of its fragility. Oh, that one infantry. I like how the Packmaster just suddenly turned and lunged at the poor infantryman. Oh man, that was great. I needed that laugh. Oh, fantastic. Well, it looks like the enemy units are abandoning the inner or the outer portion of the settlement. The walls have been completely abandoned, which is going to allow our Poison Winds and our Warplock Jezzails and such to move into the settlements. Our artillery are doing the best that they can, though there really isn't much more in the way of targets that they have. Not that it's going to be a big deal. We're going to move all of our lords and heroes forward as well to target the walls, and in the form of the Packmaster to summon a little pack of wolf rats right behind this enemy unit of archers so that they can hit them in the back while we work on breaking down this barrier. Alright, pack rats, or summon wolf rats, I mean, not pack, well I guess pack rats kind of makes sense as well, but there you go. Man, they run out of those underground burrows real quick. And there we go. Now you guys are trapped. Lords and heroes, Screaming Bell and Plague Furnace before you, as well as that Brood Core. Though you'd think the Brood Core would either be able to scamper over or otherwise climb over these barriers. The barriers really do seem too short for all the monstrous units that they often block. Like, yeah, I can see it stopping a Plague Furnace and a Screaming Bell, but, yeah. Plus, a lot of the little tiny monstrous units would be able to climb and jump just fine as well. And yeah, I understand that it's this way for game balance purposes and all. That just takes me out of the realism, quote-unquote, a little bit. Anyway, not that it matters that much, and this battle is pretty much over. We got a piercing tower up here, which we have now moved close enough for our artillery to knock down. There is a unit of Silver Helms that is going down this ramp to move towards us, but we're going to send the Wolf Rats and all the Lords and Heroes to take care of them as well. Actually getting a lot of value out of our Packmaster in this particular battle, which I'm pretty happy about. Usually we have to keep these guys out of combat way too much because they're so fragile, but in this particular situation, he did great. He hunted down that Phoenix, he helped everybody out, he summoned plenty of Wolf Rats, and, well, gave us this battle. There we go. With that, the battle ends. There's nobody else to chase. Just gonna wait a few more seconds while our healing potion continues healing, I believe, Shife up. And there we are, a decisive victory. Not too problematic. I do imagine that we haven't suffered all that much in the way of losses, especially since most of the units that took damage would have been the summoned Vermintide units and the summoned Pestilent Birth and Wolf Rats and the dreaded 13th. We get a lot of summons working for us in this army. As long as we upkeep the magic, we basically have 2 stacks in our favor. Alright, Shife doing great work as pretty much always. Very, very few losses in that particular fight as well. And especially considering the sheer amount of enemy range units that were available to the enemy. We're going to sack the place for 34.3k. Sack. That's a nice amount of cash. And Shield of Distraction, another one. And another Artifact Hunter, which is always nice as well. We need more and more magic. You already have the Artifact Hunter, we could always give it to somebody else. And then we're going to occupy the place at Tier 1. and then we will trade it to Kairos next turn, and we will either take Dawn's Light and give that to him as well, or we will allow him to take it. More importantly, this is going to be the last settlement, Dawn's Light I mean, of Teclis's faction, which means once we give these up, we can start moving through Krokgar's faction through the south via Scythe, and from the north via Corpable, while hopefully Bilefitch starts taking care of the Court of Libaras. Very nice, everybody. Now that we have a decent amount of cash again, we can complete the rest of the buildings that we deemed too expensive to build previously, namely you, Chain Sentry Beasts at Karak Norn. Warp Forge can be upgraded to tier 5, so we can ignore the commandment, or in fact you don't even have commandments, so it doesn't matter. Alrighty, Carcassonne, you're up next. You also have the Chained Sentry Beasts. Lovely. And then we have, what do we have here? Vidrioth, oh right. These places are all going to get upgraded next turn, so we can hold on to the money. Winter's Teeth Pass. Honestly, these places are going to be annoying for the rest of the campaign, but I'd rather not deal with them, so just leave them as they are. When, if and when at some point we have too much money, if that's the thing, then we will upgrade those. Alrighty, lovely. Also, I'm kind of tempted to build the warp bomb at Castle Templehof here, or not Castle Templehof, at Fort Oberstar, just because this should be our territory. And I'm curious to see whether this would actually get destroyed or not. So let's go, Makeshift Workshop. I don't know whether it'll get destroyed, because the discoverability is plus 160, right? So it's impossible to actually hide the thing. Kill Perches, and yeah, it's minus 40 and minus 40, so... Oh, wait. Oh, wait, minus 40 each. So it's 180, so you can actually hide it if you build these things. Oh, man. And it's expensive. Alright, fine, we'll start building these stupid things. And that's gonna take a while. And I guess we could start doing the same thing in all these territories. It's not like these guys have been useful in any way, shape, or form as allies. So it's time. We're gonna blow up all of their territories, and then we're gonna occupy them ourselves. Just gotta make sure that we have lords ready to take them as soon as that happens. Really, it's the moot that we want most of all. Oh! The moot has a this anti-discoverability thingy. Huh? What's doing that? Why is it grayed out a little bit? Characters. Oh, one of their characters can increase the discoverability. Interesting, but luckily only by 15. So yeah, we'll be deleting all of this stuff as well. But for now, it's all of these places, so they're looking good. And hey, it's another way to spend a little more cash. Honestly, we haven't been getting a lot of mileage out of the Undercity mechanic throughout this campaign, but oh well. Clearly, we haven't really needed it. Garrison Lore not moved. Skip unassigned skill points. Yeah, skip for now. Outpost upgrades, outpost available. That's one of these guys, yeah, that we don't particularly care about. And honestly, we should probably break with the with this faction as well.
You have a proposal, yes?
I know that they're giving us trade, but they're hated by all the Dark Elves, and breaking this agreement will make them happier, especially now that that lab rat is gone out of here. So sorry, Siggy, no trade agreement for you. He's willing to bring it back up, but we are not willing to. Alrighty, he'll probably be destroyed shortly anyway, so it's not like we care how much and they hate us. Now, the big problem with once he's dead is most likely Throg and the various Dark Elves will get into a fight. And honestly, it's hard to say who we should support here. On the one hand, the Dark Elves are doing a lot better than Chaos, just a lot. On the other hand, Throg has been a good ally for pretty much the entire camp. Well, okay, good ally is a little bit of a strong word, but he has been an ally. And do we really want to betray him in the sense that do we really want to go all the way up here and deal with Norska? It's not like we care about Norska, but we don't care about the Dark Elves territories either. I suppose not super important. We'll figure it out. We'll see what happens when we come down to it. Now, let us end the turn and see if anything else interesting happens. And though we are quickly running out of time, Hellcroft moving around, and yeah, they're still fighting they're still fighting Khemri. I kind of like that in the very center of our empire. Oh, Teclis is coming back. All right, or he is going to attack. I mean, Yeah, I like how in the center of our empire we have Skarbrand and Khemri, basically an eternal war, and they both like us, which is funny as well. Anyway, I guess we're gonna fight this cinematically as well. Valiant defeat according to this. Pestilich. Let's hope you can pull a Scalpite or a Biofitch type defense. Alright, let's see what we can do this time around. Now, in terms of the setup, we've done similar to what we usually do where we defend this portion of the map. Also, do the Skaven only have one map in smaller settlements? It's always this map with the 3 bridges. I'm getting sick and tired of this map. It would be nice if we got at least a couple more different ones, but it seems it's this one no matter where you are on the overworld map. But anyway, in terms of what we've done differently this time is we've actually sallied out massive portions of our army. Right over here is Pestilich, rather, together with a couple of units of clan rats who are just going to charge these poor units of archers. We've also begun this with a brass orb, and hopefully these 3 can destroy this without really much effort, and then move up here to try to help out. The vast majority of our units are going to try to mob these 2 units of spears and 2 units of archers. They may be elven troops and thus superior to the clan rats, but we should still be able to take them out by virtue of sheer numbers. Plus, we do have our unit of gutter runners here, which do quite a bit of damage with their shuriken fire. We are going to be ignoring Teclis and his phoenix by and large, just keeping a few units here to distract them, though we did keep our storm vermin back, specifically to surround and attack the Frostheart Phoenix once it's in range. And then we have the least amount of units back here, just a unit of Skaven slaves and clan rat spears to distract the swords masters of Hoeth and the enemy archers and the mage and the Turnok chariots. Basically, we attack where the enemy is weak, hoping to destroy them quickly, and then we go back to where the enemy is strong while they are distracted by units that we're willing to sacrifice. Alrighty. Here we go, looks like all the slingers are going to be targeting the enemy archers here, and it's 3 slingers versus 2 units of archers, which actually should probably go in the enemy's favor, at least until we move more clan rats and such into the actual fray. We're going to get a few shuriken hits into the enemy spearmen here as well, which do help soften the enemy, but we'll move around them with those clan rats and the shuriken as well to help out against the enemy archers. A menace below is also going to be summoned, and as long as the enemy aren't firing, they're obviously no threat to our slingers. Over on this side, it looks like Pestilich has done a pretty good job personally seeing off the enemy Eagle Bolt Thrower, and the enemy archers at the very least are routing. And it looks like the spears are routing as well. Not surprising really, considering we had magical support over on this side of the map. And it's going to take a little bit longer to work through these guys. Looks like the Frostheart Phoenix has also moved in. He jumped down onto one of our unit of Clan Rat Spears, and thus we countered it with the Storm Vermin in the hopes of surrounding it, while the other Clan Rat Spears are going to move down. One to distract Teclis, and the rest to charge these units of archers with light armor, just so that they distract them and can stop them from firing. Down here we have the Swords Masters of Hoeth engaged in a battle with the Skaven slaves, which should be just fine, as long as they're distracted. The clan rats are going to just move around them and try to go for the enemy archers while we continue fighting the swords masters. Ideally, what we want to try to do is wait until the spears here are pretty much destroyed, and then pop a warp bomb to destroy the swords masters, or at the very least to damage them very heavily. There we go. There's the warp bomb. But unfortunately, it only about halved the HP of the Swords Masters, and in fact, they didn't even lose a single model to that, which ain't great, but they will still continue to be distracted by the Clan Rat Spears. If I were to do this again, I probably would have just allowed them to kill the Skaven slaves, and then moved the Clan Rats in to fight the archers, and waited until the Swords Masters actually charged them, and then warp bombed all 3, but there was no guarantee that that actually would have worked. Anyway, Frostheart is still engaged here here with the Storm Vermin, and Teclis is now engaged with these units of Clan Rat Spears. And Teclis isn't that strong of a melee fighter, obviously, relatively low HP. His melee defense is okay, but his attack is fairly low, and so is his armor. So even the Clan Rat Spears will slowly trickle down his HP to nothingness. We got another unit of Menace Below units summoned behind this enemy unit of archers, which are now surrounded by Skaven slaves. And the Clan Rats can no longer fire, and then will lose in melee to the Clan Rats. Looks like we've also managed to overwhelm the enemy on this side, at the very least routing one of the enemy units of spears and destroying the 2 enemy units of archers, which just means we have to clean up the last unit of spears, and then we can move on to trying to help against Teclis and the Phoenix and the Swordsmasters. It looks like we've also managed to pretty much chase off the units on this side, and Pestilich is moving back to the fray to try to help out. As we can see, the Storm Vermin are doing a pretty good job at taking out the Phoenix here, which is at about half HP. And Teclis, he's also really having a bad time here. 15% ward save and Shield of Sapphire and all that magic. Apparently not enough to deal with a single unit of Clan Rats. I mean, obviously he's a caster lore and you're not supposed to do this with him, but these are Clan Rats after all. I do feel like he should have enough magical prowess to burninate them more, well, whatever spell he wishes to use against them, or really quite quickly. But he has been casting spells. Specifically, he's been casting the Flock of Doom on sort of Teclis. What does he actually have right now? He has Fireball, Flock of Doom, Regrowth, Enfeebling Foe. Actually, he doesn't have much in the way of offensive spells. Okay, I can see why he's been repeatedly casting Flock of Doom, but he's been casting them on the Storm Vermin, which aren't really threatened by that, at least not all that much. And it looks like Teclis is pretty much done. He's popped the Sword of Teclis, he's got 300 HP, and the Clan Rats have defeated him. Gotta say, that's gotta be at least a little bit embarrassing, and he's going to try to run away from the Clan Rats, who will give chase to the best of their abilities. And where is he going to go? We have more Clan Rats and Skaven Slave Spears in the way. Our range units have moved up as well. And they're perfectly willing to kill a few Clan Rats to help bring Teclis down. There we go. It looks like the Phoenix is also in very bad shape, down to 300 HP itself, but the Swordsmasters, together with the Chariots, have moved in. We did try to summon our unit of Menace Below Clan Rats as well, just to try to get in the way of the Swordsmasters, but they should be able to clean up our Storm Vermin and remaining Clan Rats here, if we let them. That said, a Tier 4 tower has finally been built and is now firing upon the Swordsmasters here, so as long as the Clan Rats can keep him busy, we should be able to bring him down. Pestilich is probably close to here. Yeah, there we go. He's finally getting near. It has, to be fair, taken him a while to get all the way around. He's going to start by popping that Howling Warp Gale to stop that Frostheart Phoenix from running away. Hopefully we can knock it down. Oh, and you can fire into the sky, but both of your Warp Lightning shots missed a stationary target, which is a little bit disappointing. But oh well. Looks like the Swordsmasters are now down to about a sliver of their HP, being surrounded, and I'm sure taking a decent amount of damage, at least from the Storm Vermin. Even if the latter are unbuffed, they are still armor-piercing. And there we go. Looks like the Swordsmasters are out. It looks like the Chariots are going to try to essentially screen their retreat. That was actually a pretty cool move, as we chased them and then the Chariots ran right in front of them. I know it wasn't on purpose from the AI, but it looked really nice. Alright, and now the Chariots are just trying to annoy us and are going to get surrounded by tons and tons of Clan Rats, though of course the Clan Rats aren't really all that threatening to them. The Phoenix has come back, but only for a few seconds as the tower blasts it out of the sky, even as the Howling Warp Gale keeps it in place. And there we go with the death of the Phoenix and the Swordsmasters. It looks like the one remaining unit of archers here is going to give up. We also did have another unit of archers and the mage who are moving towards the key building here, but they will rout and we will give chase to them with our summoned Menace Below units. Alrighty, Pestilich, get to work, buddy. We want to destroy as much of this army as possible so that it will no longer be viable for next round. Alright, some decent spellwork, and there is one other thing that I didn't notice until the end here. The enemy is actually moving towards the key building. It is still alive. The mage here, the mage of beasts, is unbreakable, which is quite interesting. We do have to use our last summon of Menace Below on him, but it does prevent them from capturing this long enough, and we do have a tower helping out. Long enough, at least, for Pestilence to move in and get some attacks in. And I do imagine he should be able to take out a single mage. It is a mage, after all. They're not going to be that strong in melee. And there we go. You will no longer be able to capture it, and we will now just poke away at you with the Doom Wheel. Stop that. Why don't you face the Doom Wheel? Stop riding around it. That must be pretty infuriating. Yeah, the turning radius on the Doom Wheel is probably pretty poor. There we go, finally. Alright, and it's just back off, push forward, and back off, push forward. It's probably going to take a while to do this, especially considering the Doom Wheels aren't great at this sort of thing against enemy lords, but the enemy mage is at half HP. Alrighty, and the tower is helping out a little bit. This is kind of silly, to be perfectly honest, but hey, as long as it brings us the win, what do we care? Plus, it's nice to see all the little gears spinning in the Doom Wheel as well, since usually they're trundling around the battlefield and we don't get such nice close-ups of them. So hopefully everybody's enjoying all these close-ups of the mindless repetitive tasks that these guys are performing. Just poking away and all that. And there we go, the mage finally gets brought down and the battle ends with the chariot in... Well, the chariot basically instantly explodes. Wow, there isn't like an extra frame of the chariot slowly being destroyed. It just goes from existing to just a pile of rubble on the ground. But the units are in the process of flying off it. Kind of interesting to see the way that looks. And, was the mage in the middle of a cast as well? Kinda neat, but anyway. Well done, a heroic victory, and Teclis has been defeated. We will not be seeing him again, as he has one settlement left and basically no army. Beautiful. Alrighty, well done to Pestilence, 21,000 damage. He didn't really contribute to the fight nearly as much as somebody like Bilefitch did, perhaps, but at the end of the day, he still defeated Teclis' army, and, well, and that's good. We are going to sell these guys off. I also don't remember what trait Pestilence had and whether we should bother keeping him, and it looks like our ambush did, in fact, fail, so Corporal will be fighting a big ol' stack next time around. I suppose in theory we could back off and then allow the ambush to happen next turn, as in ambush them afterwards, but maybe we'll give it a fight. I guess we'll see at the start of next episode. I'm reasonably confident in Corporal, even with his army damaged as it is, and he does have the backup of the garrison as well to help out. Anyway, calling it here, we will start off with the big old Corporal battle next time, and well, that's about it, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to leave a like and comment. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.